You guys break up over whatever you break up over. Was it your choice or her choice?
It was my choice more because of my family. I was living with my aunt and my uncle at the time, going to school at night, and my aunt was letting me live there at the time, and the house rules were her rules.
This is the plaintiff, Alicia. She says she and the defendant briefly dated, then reconnected, and she loaned him money, and he refuses to return it. The guy has a good job. He has a baby on the way. And if he has money for those things, he has money to pay her back. She's suing for $3,000, the amount of the loans. This is the defendant, Robert. He says he and the plaintiff were dating, and they're both into cars, and they would buy and sell them. She never loaned him any money. He has no idea why his ex is suing him, because he doesn't owe her a thing, and she should just leave him alone already. He's accused of vexing an ex.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Alicia, you're suing your former boyfriend, Mr. Robert, for $3,000, a statutory max. You say you're actually out $3,900. Okay. How did you come to loan your then boyfriend $3,900?
I lent him money for a truck he was going to fix up.
How much?
It was initially $2,000, and then I lent him another $1,200 for rent. And when did you loan him the $2,000? September 28th, 2017.
2017. Okay.
Correct.
And then when did you loan him the $1,200?
October 16th, 2017.
And the $200?
November 9th, 2017.
And the $500?
It was around Christmas time of that year. I think that was in cash. I don't have dates for that.
And it wasn't a Christmas present?
No, he was using it to buy other people Christmas presents.
Did he have a job?
Intermittently. He was an electrician at the time.
Why were you giving him more and more money when he hadn't paid off the original money?
To fix the car that he was working on. So we were going to make a profit on the truck originally.
And then what happened with that truck?
After we broke up, I don't know what happened to it. I know he ended up fixing it up, and I think he sold it.
And did you ever see any money profit from the truck?
No.
Okay. So you feel he owes you the statutory maximum is what you're suing for, because you can't sue for more, but according to you, you're out $3,900. And what say you to that, Mr. Robert?
Yeah. It was so long ago, 2017. At the time, I was working as an electrician, as she stated. Originally, we dated and we were engaged back in 2005 when we were both in the Army overseas together. I came home after the deployment, and my plan was to move back to Germany. When I had the plan to move back to Germany, at the time I didn't know my grandmother was ill. She was keeping it from my family. Came home, found out she was sick, stayed here for a little while. Whatever happened in Germany and whatever happened here, things didn't work out. We lost touch, and then in, I'd say September 2017, it was around my birthday, so we were looking for a bunch of my friends from my original basic training. I went on Facebook. I really don't use Facebook. I actually deleted it for deployment and then set it back up again to find one of my friends from basic training. Within like 3 hours of being on Facebook, she found me and got in contact with me. At that time, we started to talk for a little bit, and then we started to go back and forth between Colorado and New Jersey.
You started dating
together. Yes.
Yeah. How long did you date at round two?
Maybe 5 months.
Okay.
probably from like, I would say around September, we started talking. And then, after Christmas, we really didn't talk as much because of an issue that happened between her and my aunt, I guess. So at that time, we were going back and forth between Colorado and New Jersey. Everything seemed somewhat normal. We were working on cars together, flipping cars, doing whatever. I would go to Colorado, work on cars at her house. She would be here. We would work on trucks and stuff together here. And we got rid of a car, whatever, took the money. She said that I could use it towards the truck. The car we sold, we made like $1,200 on. The $1,200 was like, there was $550 for each of us. The $550 I used towards the truck. She told me I could just use it for Christmas or whatever. At that point, Christmas time was there. I bought the truck. I paid $1,500 for the truck. I've given pictures of the truck of when I bought it and what the state it was in. It was rusted out, missing parts. The bed was falling off of it, all types of stuff. It was just something that I could start with. So then at that point,
did you end up selling that truck?
I eventually sold the truck. Yes, it
How
sat
much
for a
did
couple.
you sell the truck for?
I got rid of the truck for the same price. Okay, I got rid of the truck in a package deal. I had another Jeep which I sent pictures in of. I sold that and the pickup truck with the pickup truck not running for $3,800. $3,800. The other truck was worth over $2,000. The tires and wheels and all that stuff I sold out extra. So altogether it was $3,800. But when it was all figured, the price of the truck, I sold it for exactly what I originally spent on it, which was $1,500. And I also gave them extra parts that I collected for the truck.
All right. I have a question for you. You guys break up over whatever you break up over. Was it your choice or her choice?
It was my choice more because of my family. I was living with my aunt and my uncle at the time, going to school at night. And my aunt was letting me live there at the time. And the house rules were her rules. Christmas was Christmas or Christmas Eve. She had gotten intoxicated, drinking screwdrivers or whatever. I left for a couple hours to drop off Christmas cards or whatever to a couple of the guys that I worked with. And at that point, I guess she was drunk and started a fight with my aunt or something. I'm not 100% sure. My aunt never really told me. She just told me that she didn't want her there anymore. That with also her ex-husband and the issues with her ex-husband.
What were the
Alicia
issues
had
with her
the
ex-husband?
password. Her ex-husband, Alicia had the passwords to her ex-husband's Facebook account, and her brother or his brother and him had planned on coming up to New Jersey, stalking my aunt and wanting to do bodily harm to my family members. She was aware of it and never told me until later on when I found out that she was still looking at her ex-husband's Facebook. There was more to the stories than I had actually known, that I was led to believe also. So at that point, I figured for the safety of my family and myself, that it was better to just be away from all that with the drinking and whatever else was going on.
Mr. Robert, let me ask you a question. Do you owe her any money?
I told her, Your Honor, about the $550. I wouldn't even care because that was what's rightfully hers for the $550 for the half of the money that we made that she said that I could keep. I don't care about that. That's fine.
So you acknowledge you owe her $550. What about all this other amounts? The $2,000, the $1,200?
No.
Okay.
The $550 was what she.
Do you have any proof that he owes you the money, Ms. Alicia? Like, did you ever get a promissory note? I assume the answer to that is going to be no.
I have text messages over about 9 months saying he's going to pay me back.
Well, let's look at that. I am a single mom who makes like half what you do, and you've borrowed, maybe that's what you should be thinking before you loan him the money, right? And you've borrowed $3,900 from me that I've put on credit cards. This is January 29, 2018. Your answer, I have a lot of bills. I don't know what to say, but I just said that to you the other day, and you said you were fine. Not, what are you talking about? I don't owe you any money. I'll work on it ASAP. I don't make a lot compared to what it costs to live here. You won't talk to me, don't seem to care about me. I don't know if you got back with your ex or what. Did you get back with your ex, Mr. Robert?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, Your Honor.
I don't talk to anybody. I go to school, I work, I stay in my cave. Well, I've got one last plane ticket for next weekend. Let me know if you want me to come. Did you actually go that next weekend or no, Ms. Alicia?
No.
Right.
And that was part of the issue over Christmas is I flew all the way down there and he knew I was coming. And then he took a job snow plowing the whole week. So he wasn't even there for Christmas.
Okay.
All
right, March 7th. Let's talk about this because I need to see what you're saying when she says, she's so explicit in these texts. She says, I'm wondering when you're going to pay me back. Do you have a plan yet? Yes, I do. I don't have many hours, but I figure I'll start mailing you next pay period. I don't owe you any money.
Well,
I'd like to be paid back so it Go ahead. What were you going to say, Mr. Robert?
At that point, I just wanted to be done with it. And I did, like I said, with the 550 or whatever.
Well, but it's not 550 that you're agreeing to. You're agreeing to 3,900 in these texts. And a lot of times the texts don't even say that in my cases. The person will just say, when are you sending me some money? In this one, she actually puts 3,900 from me. And your answer is, I have a lot of bills.
But like I said, at the time, I was just saying whatever I could just to get it done with.
Well, and it's up to me to decide if you're lying now because you don't want to pay her or if this was the truth. That's my job, right? One of the things that a judge does is look at the text and see what a normal, rational person would respond to the thing he's being accused of. If someone texted me, you owe me $3,900. Someone texted you, you owe me $3,900.
What are you talking about?
Right. That's what would be normal if you don't owe $3,900. But if you owe $3,900, but you can't pay it, then it might be, I have a lot of bills, I don't know what to say. That's the kind of thing that sounds like you owe $3,900, pal. It's like kind of, let's see what you say later on. She asks for $650 a month so that you're paid back before the fall. You don't say, what are you talking about? I don't know you that much. You say, I only make $2,000 a month and rent's $800, so there's no way. I can't do that. You know this. I'm seriously having an anxiety attack right now. Why would you have an anxiety attack? You're having an anxiety attack.
I just wanted everything.
Because you owe it and she's pressing you,
the whole
right?
reason why. No, the problem was, Your Honor, was I was trying to be nice about everything and still, because we were still talking. Like, I wasn't trying, I was in love with her and I didn't want to lose her, but the whole thing was with my family, so it was really bothering me. So I was trying to do everything I could to keep her around.
Okay, but March 8th, you're in two separate states. All you need to do is say, I don't owe you this money. I don't understand. You're in two separate states, and here you text her, I'm going to give you money ASAP. Did he give you any money at that point?
No, Your Honor. He was under a lot of stress. He had just ripped his shoulder and he couldn't work, but I was still out the money.
I know you hate me and I have a million excuses. I'm trying, I swear. So if it was good enough for you, Mr. Robert, these cases are hard because, when you're together, it's like, here's more money, here's more money, here's more things I would never do. I would never want my daughters to do, but you can't. So it's usually the woman, and boom, and boom, and boom. And then now, here you are 4 years later trying to collect on it. There's no problem with the statute of limitations because there's text throughout. So that ends up reviving the clock. So here we are now, all these years later, and you're finally suing him. I would look at you normally and say, you're out of your mind, lady. You guys were together, blah, blah, blah. But you've got the text where you confront him several times with the actual amount. And his answer is always, I know, I've got to do something, I've got to do it. It's never, no, I don't. Never. So if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. Statutory maximum is $3,000. Verdict for the plaintiff, $3,000.
So the plaintiff prevails. She's going to get that money after all. The emails and messages clinched it for her. What do you think, Robert? You got to pay her.
I've no hard feelings towards her or anything like that. I understand where she's coming from, and I have no problem with it.
I mean, were you surprised that she actually went ahead and sued you after all this?
No, I knew, because I know that she'd been talking to a lot of my friends through the years. She still kept in touch with everybody. It was just, I think it's more of a jealousy thing now, because I'm like good, and I have my son was just born, so I think it had a lot to do with that. But I mean, I can't hold anything against her.
Well, you do have to pay her. You should have paid her back. That would have been the honorable thing to do. All right, Alicia, was it tough to decide to sue him?
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he would have paid me back if he could have. It was hard to track him down. for a long time. I wish him the best. It was hard.
You'll get your money now. So good luck to you and congratulations.
Doug, we've talked about this before. A lot of times there's a dispute, especially with exes, whether something was a loan or a gift. In the law, there is a presumption that it's a loan, that when you give money to somebody, there is a presumption that they're going to pay you back. You can blow up that presumption, but you have to do it with clear evidence. For example, sending somebody a text saying, "That was very thoughtful of you to give me the $1,500 as a gift." That would blow up the presumption, but you need something clear to do it.
My boyfriend and I were involved in a hit and run. We called the police, and after waiting 2 hours, the officers told us they don't take reports for accidents. We said, "How are we going to report this to our insurance?" And they said, "Just let them know, they'll pay it. It's no fault." Well, they denied our claim. What do I do?
I'm at a loss as to why they would deny the claim.
I agree.
It was
no
either
sense.
hit or it wasn't, and if it's
Right.
no fault, they have to pay it. I don't understand if her insurance didn't cover collision, so that's why
Yeah,
it's
who
not covered.
knows,
It would
right.
never have been covered.
Right, but the reality is it's not that unusual in some areas for the police either not to come for a couple of hours for a fender bender with
Right.
no personal injuries or anything, or to tell you, we can't get there, or we're not going to get there. That doesn't prevent you from going to a police precinct.
And filling out a report. You
Right.
can always do that.
Or even online. They may allow it online in some areas.
Right. So I would have to know why the insurance company denied her. I don't think it's because she doesn't have a police report. Because if she needs a police report, she can do exactly what you said.
Right. And you need to exchange information with somebody in a little minor property damage thing, insurance information, take some pictures or video.
Well, anytime anything happens, you should be, that phone in your pocket is not just for pictures of your food.
Right.
Okay? Or nasty pictures. It's also
Selfies.
So it's not just for selfies to show everybody how cute you are. It is to document. Document.
We're all our own camera.
We're all our own cameraman.
Yeah, pretty much. But here's one more pro tip. When the person that you have the little incident with gives you a phone number, you might want to try it right then.
And make sure that the phone rings in that person's pocket.
This is the plaintiff, Samantha Pugh. She says she dropped off 156 items of clothing at the defendant's dry cleaning business, and he gave her clothes to someone else. That's right. For some odd reason, he donated all of her valuable clothes during the pandemic. This is outrageous behavior, and she's suing for the $5,000 she's now owed. This is the defendant, Randy. He says the plaintiff dropped off a large amount of clothes in September of 2019. And in February of 2021, he was cleaning out the place and noticed her clothes were still there. He told her to come pick them up, but she never did. And it's clearly stated on the receipt that he's only responsible for 30 days. So he owes the irresponsible plaintiff $0. He's accused of getting rid of a wardrobe. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $779.75 for dry cleaning and storage.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she dropped off 156 items of clothing at the defendant's dry cleaners, and they trashed her stuff, got rid of it, and now won't pay. But the defendant says the woman left her clothes in his establishment for almost 2 years, and she abandoned them. It's the case of the naked truth.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
Ms. Pugh, what happened here?
Okay, I went to the defendant's dry cleaning business to pick up my clothes as I
When had you dropped the clothes off?
the clothes. So there were two sets of clothes. There were clothes that were there from December of 19, and then there were clothes
Of 2019?
Yes, and there were clothes there from February of 20.
Of 20?
2020.
Of 2020.
Yes, of 20.
Okay.
Yes.
And how many
So-
pieces in total?
156
Okay. That's a lot of clothes.
between the two. Yeah, it's a lot of clothes. I've been going to the defendant's dry cleaning and laundromat for at least maybe 3 to 4 years. I usually do a large amount of clothes, given that I do them all in seasons. I'm a principal, so I go in and I do them in seasons. And that's an arrangement that we've had for the last 3 years.
All right. So you take some clothes December of 2019, some clothes in February of 2020.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in total, it's 156 pieces?
In total, it's 150.
Okay. And then what happens?
I went and so COVID happened, the stay-at-home orders happened. They made a phone call. They made a phone call to me around mid February of this year to say to me, your clothes are, we are switching over our system. And we just want to give you a courtesy, which I thought was a courtesy call that your things.
Wait, stop a second. What happened between February of 2020 and February of 2021? Because I know, I was there. I know what I know COVID happened, but COVID didn't stop me from picking up my dry cleaning.
Yeah, and I think that's correct, Judge Million. But for us, we had strict stay-at-home orders in Nassau County. And when I called in about April or May, I said, "Are you guys open?" They said the laundromat is open, but not the dry cleaning. I said, "Okay." At which point, my daughter and I took my comforter to get washed and everything. And I said to them, "When are you guys gonna be ready for dry cleaning?" And they said that we will contact you. So that was the last time.
Okay, but if you went to the laundromat, couldn't you just say, "I want to pick up my dry cleaning"?
They said that it was closed.
No, well, for new stuff, but can't you just pick up what's already ready?
That is not what she communicated to me. I asked her, I said, "There's things here. Can I drop? Are you guys open?" And she said, "No, we will let you know." I said, "Oh, are my clothes here?" And she was like, "I don't think that they're here." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll come back when you guys open and let me know." So she said, "Okay, we'll give."
Well, when you guys open, let me know. I mean, you've got clothes there since the year before COVID. And so at what point, right, so absolutely. And you're, the strict orders, you're not going to school, right? The school's not open. Then it's summer. And so you got the whole summer to pick up your clothing. Then it's September. Did you all open in September of 2020 back to school? No. So, okay. So when did you ever call them to pay them for the dry cleaning and pick up your clothes?
They gave me a call in February.
Okay, but what happened between, when did you go back to work?
In September.
Okay, but businesses were open before September of 2021. Right. So what efforts did you make to pick up your dry cleaning from 2019?
I made that effort.
What effort?
In the effort when I went and dropped my comforters off, I asked them when it was open, when they were going to be open. They said, "We'll contact you." And the thing is that we're in constant communication. We were before COVID and the switch over.
I don't understand. When was it? When did your dry cleaners reopen after March of 2020, Mr. Randy?
We were never closed.
Oh, there you go. All right. So the dry cleaners were considered an essential business, and you were never closed. Okay.
Correct.
Ever. Okay. So when she's talking about going to the laundromat and being told at the laundromat, is the laundromat in the same place as the dry cleaning?
Yes. We send our clothes out for the dry cleaning, but they are returned to us within 3 days.
So you farm out the dry cleaning. So if she brought you something in 2019 or in February of 2020, it's going to be up there, right?
Within 3 days, yes.
Okay. And were you giving other people their dry cleaning?
Yes.
Did anybody have a problem getting their dry cleaning?
No.
Okay. So now fast forward to February of 2021. You folks are switching systems, so you give her a courtesy call to please come pick up her dry cleaning.
Yes, we called everyone who clothing was there for more than a year.
And what was it that you sent? What were the phone calls? What was the purpose of the phone calls?
To let them know the clothes will be donated on March the 4th.
Okay, and what did you think the purpose of the phone call, where they call you and say, "Lady, you brought us stuff a year ago and you haven't picked it up." Now, and maybe you haven't picked it up because, as you said, it was seasonal, you didn't really need it, but they kind of want you to pick it up. So tell me, what was the purpose of the phone call you received saying you got to pick it up? We're changing systems, so you won't be able to locate your clothes.
So February 21st, they gave me a call to say that that they were switching over their system. And I said, "Okay, so what does that mean?" So they said that we're not taking any action immediately. We're making courtesy calls to everyone to let them know that it was here so that you guys can get to the point where you can get in and get.
I don't know what that means. If they're paid, they actually paid somebody to make the phone calls. I don't think they're going to pay somebody to make the phone calls to tell you you don't have to do anything. We're just calling you to remind you of something you know. That doesn't sound believable, well, Mr. Randy. Will you tell me what the purpose of the phone calls were again?
The phone calls were made to everyone who had clothes there for more than a year to let them know that we were donating the clothes come March 4th, if not picked up before then.
Okay, and you actually hired somebody to do that, right?
Yes.
I was hired, Noah Paz, and you have an affidavit from him saying he was hired to make phone calls to customers who haven't picked up their laundry or dry cleaning in over a year. I made calls to a host of people, including Samantha Pugh, on February 21st and again on February 28th to let them know by March 4th their clothing would be donated, if not picked up. Can I ask you something? You say that all they did was call you and say, nah, we're just checking it. But, why would the dry cleaners call you and say, yeah, we're just checking in. You don't have to do anything. We'll just keep calling you for years until, come on.
Well, and Judge Milian, I understand that question. But the thing is, there was not an urgency. He never said March 4th. And I explained to him,
the ticket you get says you have 30 days. And if you leave something there 30 days, it is gone. That's what the ticket you have says, right?
Absolutely. So he called. They don't give us a ticket. They send an email receipt. So when he called, I said to him, because I had just been in a major car accident, and I said to them, I can't. So when do you need me to come and get it? He said, I'm extended courtesy calls. I'm going to call back in another week. I asked him, what was the last day that I could come and pick it up, because I'm unable to move. So he said to me, he was like, don't worry, I'm going to give you a call back next week and I'll check in and see how you're feeling. And again, this is the type of relationship that I've had with the dry cleaner. He's like, I'm going to call you back next week.
Okay, who said that? This is a kid he hired to make the phone calls. That's who
right, exactly.
Okay, exactly, but why don't you just pick up your dry cleaning?
Because I was unable.
Why don't you have it delivered? Why don't you have somebody else pick it up?
That was not, when I asked him what was the options, he said, we will call you back.
You're a principal of a school. You know what the options are. When do you donate the clothes, Mr. Randy?
March 4th.
All right, and then when do you hear from her to say she wants $5,000?
Probably a month after that.
So it's not until April. And what does she say when she reaches out to you?
I want my clothes. And, I told her we had them there for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And we donated them.
Yeah. And I did not. Did she leave 156 pieces of clothing?
She left a lot of clothes. I'm not sure the exact count.
Was it summer clothing, Ms. Pugh?
It was summer into fall clothing. Right. And when the gentleman or the kid or the person called,
I guess that's why you didn't go pick up the clothing, because you didn't really need it since you weren't working. But how does that translate to he has to pay you $5,000?
Because one is, I didn't call him a month later to demand the clothes. I let the person know on February 28th when he called again. I was like, I have been in a car accident. I don't have anybody here. I'm by myself. I don't have anybody here. What are the other options? He said, he said, call back. I said, okay, well, let me see what I can do. I called back. I said, I have somebody who can come and pick them up. In fact, they'll drive me there, because now I can walk and I can do all these things, because I got into a major car accident on January 7th. And I explained this whole thing to him on February 28th. And I said, I will be there next week, because I will be able to walk, and then I will get somebody to bring me there. The gentleman said, okay, that's no problem. When I got to before I got there, I called to confirm. The young lady who always works there, who I always deal with, she said to me, well, the clothes will be ready when you get here. I said, perfect. So I came and I said and she was really frightened when she saw me. And I said, is everything okay? And she said, are you okay? I said, yes, I'm feeling a lot better. Where are the clothes? And she said to me, I don't think that they're here. And I said, well, I just spoke to you. And you told me, I spoke to you guys twice, and you reassured me, one, to let you know that I would be there in a week, and two, that I was coming the next day. And both of those times you reassured me that the clothes would be there. So she said, and she got really nervous. It started to sweat. And I said, okay, well, where are the clothes? She said, I don't know. And I said to her, well, what do you mean you don't know? She said, I don't know. They're not here. So I said to her, well, what do you mean they're not there? When did they get picked up? Between the time I spoke to the gentleman on the phone and we all agreed that I could come
I'm
and
going to
pick
need
them
you
up
to
on
prove
this
the
Friday.
last thing you just said. You know how that last
That-
sentence is that you operate by different rules? You don't have to abide by the, hey, 30 days and we're donating it, where they tell you, don't worry about it, we'll hold your clothes for you. The affidavit that he's given me from the gentleman who made the calls doesn't say that. He says the opposite of that.
Well, I have
So
my-
what
my-
all I
I
need,
have-
what I'm going to need from you is proof that you didn't have to abide by the March 4th deadline, which was a very generous deadline, considering it's supposed to be 30 days after
They
drop.
never gave me, Judge Milian.
No, I'm going to need you to prove that they somehow, I don't know, an email, a letter, something, something. But you're wanting me to, you're trying to persuade me that the common rules of logic, number one, and the rules of the game in this industry, number two, and the rules of this dry cleaner that was emailed to you, number three, and the rules that would appear to exist based on Noah Paz's affidavit, number four, that they don't apply to you. Which is fine if you can prove that, because watch this, Mr. Randy, did anybody ever tell her that she could just come when she wanted?
No.
Okay, so
I have a witness.
I
have a witness who was there with the conversation, because I had it on speakerphone because my daughter was the one who was going to take me there. They never said March 4th. They agreed.
Hold on one second.
And I'm not saying
Hold on
that
one
they
second.
agreed.
Your daughter was the one who was taking you there. So she's a witness to the phone call when? On the day that she was going to take you there? Where the lady says, we'll have it ready for you?
The day before, absolutely.
The day before.
We'll have it ready.
All right, but that lady clearly doesn't know what she's talking about, because by then it's March
But I didn't
what?
know that.
No, I know.
Right.
And that's March
I
what?
didn't know that because
that's March
she's
what?
An employee.
That's March what?
That was around March 1st or March 2nd. And the reason I never,
when did you got
given me the,
just a second. You say it was March 1st or March 2nd that your daughter took you to go pick up the clothing, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have proof of when the clothing was donated, Mr. Randy?
Yes. We donated it
March 4th.
March 4th to a homeless.
Correct. March 4th.
And when I called the Better Business Bureau, and according to Better Business Bureau and the laws of Nassau County, they also said that I had 6 months. So when I began to talk like that, that's when things started to change, because I didn't know.
Wait, who told you you had 6 months? Wait, stop. Who told you you had 6 months?
I looked up New York dry cleaning laws. So it says 6 months after, and they have to do their due diligence. When I did eventually get in touch with them. You don't think it's due
diligence to hire somebody to call you and say you got to pick up your stuff?
I think it's due diligence to do that, but I also think it was bad customer service to agree with me that I could
That's
come
the part you got to prove. He says nobody agreed that with you. He says that is not his policy. That's not what he paid this person to do, that the person was there to make phone calls and tell everybody you got to pick it up. So now I just need you to prove that part. Prove the part
where called me twice.
Right, they're calling you twice not to scratch an itch. They're calling you twice to tell you to pick up your stuff. And you got there too late.
But the thing is, had they told me that it was under any...
Ms. Pugh, I'm not going to order this man to pay you $5,000 for clothes that you left there for almost 2 years, for a business that never closed. Okay? I'm not going to do that.
Why was that?
And I know why you didn't pick it up, with all due respect, Ms. Pugh. I'm sorry, but, it kind of stands to reason that the reason you didn't pick up your summer to fall clothing is because you weren't working yet at the school.
I work
it
remote.
Stayed in 2020. Right. So it stayed in 2020. Then you wore sweatpants like the rest of us. It stayed in 2020, stays in 2019, stays in 2020. You don't pick it up.
I went back to work.
Okay.
Judge Milian,
now, I have a counterclaim against you for $685 for storage fees. Why storage fees?
Well, we kept them for almost 2 years.
So?
Taking up space.
Yeah, right. But nobody ever agreed to pay storage fees, did they?
No.
Right. Okay. And then you want your dry cleaning fee. Well, that's interesting. You want the $94.75 of the dry cleaning fee because you dry cleaned it.
Yes, we did pay a third party to do the actual dry cleaning.
Okay. Ms. Pugh, you left stuff there for 2 years. Okay? That's the bottom line. You're not on a good legal ground. You're just not. I'm sorry that you're in this position, but when you leave dry cleaning at a dry cleaner's for a year and a half taking up their space, a year and a half, almost 2 years, taking up their space, you know, and it's a big shocker that they got rid of it at some point after you admit that they called you twice. Your best argument is, but they told me that not to worry about these phone calls because I'd be able. Well, that doesn't stand to reason because the point of the phone calls is to worry you. So you have the very hard job of persuading me that the rules don't apply to you. And you have nothing in writing from them, and they're denying that anybody ever gave you a pass. And you really don't strike me as somebody who was too worried about the clothing because you weren't using it yet and you hadn't picked it up in 2 years. So I am not ruling in your favor for $5,000. And ironically, I am ruling in his favor for the $94.75 because you hired him to dry clean and he dry cleaned. So he's the one who's actually out the money. That's my verdict.
Well, instead of getting $5,000 from the defendant, the plaintiff has to pay the defendant some $94. You know, Ms. Pugh, I know you're shocked at this, but number one, $94 to pay for dry cleaning for 156 items. That sounds cheap to me. Am I right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds cheap, but I believe that it was, that sounds about cheap for 156 items of clothing.
Well, you're going to have to go buy a new wardrobe. You're out 156 items.
That's what it looks like.
That's a lot of clothes. I'm sorry for you.
A whole lot of clothes.
Maybe you learned a lesson. Maybe you learned a lesson now. Don't do that again. Okay?
No, don't take people's word
156
for it
items.
when they tell you that you have time.
Wow.
Don't take people's word for it. Get it in writing. That's what I learned.
Well, no, okay, very good. You've learned something about this. Randy, let me ask you, is that all you charge for dry cleaning for 156 items? Less than $100?
Oh, well, we're very competitive, and I don't believe it was 156 items, or we would have definitely charged more.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, you're off the hook. You're going to get that money, $94 from her. I'm sure you're satisfied.
Yes.
Because you don't have to pay
I'm
$5,000.
satisfied.
All right. Thank you very much. I think you may have lost
Thank
a
you.
customer, though.
So we've talked about this before, Doug, that there are different laws regarding abandonment. If there's no stated abandonment rule in a deal like this one. There is a stated rule, and the stated rule is you got 30 days to pick up your clothes. As long as that is made clear in the dry cleaning establishment, and that happens to be kind of a common practice, when you wait more than 30 days, if they choose to get rid of your stuff, you are going to be out of luck. So keep track of your clothes and don't let it go beyond 30.
You mentioned the television show The Office a lot. What are your favorite episodes?
Oh my gosh, we watch that show constantly.
I've seen I would say we've seen every episode 4 or 5 times.
I bet you we spent 5,000 hours watching that.
Yep.
It's just constant at our house. We watch it all the time, and our kids love it too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the writing is so good, and Steve Carell is comedic genius. And favorite episodes? Too many to choose from. I'm going to say
Diversity Day.
Diversity Day is great.
That was episode 2, I think.
Yeah, it was an early episode. Scott's Tots.
Scott's Tots.
Great one.
Where he had told a 4th grade class he'd pay for their college education because he assumed he'd be rich by then.
Right.
And then they were all thinking they're getting their
15 years
college
later,
education.
They're graduating or whatever it is, and he doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Right? Yeah. But it's so funny because you and I, sometimes we speak back and forth in lines and cliches from that show. I take the show so seriously that my iPad, I've been carrying this around. These stickers are actually getting a little worn out.
They are getting a little worn out.
I've got Kevin here with the chili. I've got Stanley playing basketball.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do love The Office. Maybe a little too much.